Elevating the Status of Spanish and Spanish Speakers by Janet Pernilla and Omelia Rodriguez. Freeman's Chapter 10 talks about elevating the status of Spanish and Spanish speakers in the United States. We would like to address this topic from a more general point of view. Janet, what have been some of the general misconceptions about Spanish speakers?
Omelia, did you know that bilingualism used to be considered a negative thing? According to an interview done to Ellen Bialstock, a cognitive neuroscientist, until about the 1960s, the conventional wisdom was that bilingualism was a disadvantage. Some of this was xenophobia. Thanks to science, we now know that the opposite is true. Language can be seen as a problem if it has a negative perception because it is associated with social problems. For example, poverty, underachievement, or simply considered as having no social value. However, language can be treated as a resource if it can coexist with the school objectives. It is then considered a benefit in terms of linguistic diversity and upward mobility. Language plays an important role in learning. It is the main medium of communication. People understand their first language best and are comfortable speaking it. The first language is often called the mother tongue, or the home language, and it is considered to be the language for early learning and the development of intellectual ability. The first language is your self-identity, whether or not it is a minority language. It is your right to self-expression, and it is part of your linguistic heritage to achieve social and educational opportunities. Freeman, in her book, states that some U.S. teachers have reported that speakers of other languages are discriminated for the lack of proficiency in English.
That's right. According to Freeman, English language learners begin to resist using Spanish as they acquire English, mostly because of social pressure. That's why it is important for schools to create ideological space for bilingualism, reinforcing the importance of one's first language in acquiring a second language. And beyond that, it is important to teach them and to let them know all of the benefits that come along with bilingualism. Schools should promote additive bilingualism, since it can stimulate educational and social change in the local level. In addition, the school should clarify the different misconceptions on language status, because no language is more important than another, and language is tied to identity. Since English is considered the language of opportunities, some parents and teachers believe that studying Spanish takes away time that the children should be using to learn English.
Based on this, Freeman talks about redefining what it means to be a Spanish speaker. Negotiating language through the continued development of native language skills facilitates academic achievement through two mediating mechanisms. If we draw our attention to this diagram, we can see that the full model exhibited represents the way native language proficiency relates to self-perception, second language acquisition, and academic achievement. As a result, it is logical to say that the best predictor of cognitive academic language development in a second language is the level of development of cognitive academic proficiency in the home language. That's why we need to negotiate what the student really needs in order to be proficient and academically successful. Omelia, how could we enhance L2 learning through the L1?
Janet, did you know that Spanish is the fourth most widely used language around the world and the second most used in the United States? Those are really interesting facts. Research shows that individuals develop literacy and cognitive skills most easily when they are taught in a familiar language. In this case, the first language should be considered as a vital medium of instructions while students prepare for eventual transitions to academic vocabulary in the second language. Academic language skills developed in the first language can facilitate the development of the second language, especially at advanced literacy levels. Respecting learners' cultural and linguistic backgrounds in educational settings is crucial in fostering the English language learners' self-confidence as persons and community members, and in encouraging them to be active and competent learners. It means The community, parents, teachers, and school administrators should understand the first language is a powerful resource to develop cognitive and academic skills in another language.
That's why we need appropriate policies and programs related to language learning. Parents, schools, and educators need to recognize the implicit understandings and skills that young children already have about language in order to build upon these strengths and maximize their potential for learning a second or additional language.
According to research done by the UNESCO, young children learn better the second language from informal instruction. Early childhood educators must convey a positive attitude about children's first language and reinforce the child's self-esteem as a bilingual learner.
So it would be an advantage if teachers were fluent in the first language of the students to support learning.
That's right. We can encourage mother tongue development to the level of cognitive academic language proficiency to scaffold additional language learning.
I agree. And it is also important to carry out awareness, raising campaigns on the importance of the development and use of the mother tongue. In the case of parents, they play a critical role in their child's learning. For that reason, they should be encouraged to give priority to their children's acquisition of their first language, in written and oral forms. It is also important to educate parents about the process their kids go through when learning another language, and they now will understand the real influence of the first language in the development of the second language.
Thinking outside the box might be difficult, but let's try. Thank you.